America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Your prayer over in prayer.
Dear Lord, we thank you for allowing us to gather here today. We ask that you please be with the council as it goes about the business on this agenda. We ask that you please be with all the families represented at this table in this room. These things we ask at thy name. Amen.
Call the meeting to order and have a roll call.
Prophet.
Here.
Hart.
Here.
Van Treese.
Here.
Potts.
Here.
Slayton.
Here.
All present.
Line item 5, approval of the minutes. Everybody read the minutes? Are there any additions or corrections? Just stand approved read then. Line item 6, we're gonna move 6 to 12. We've got Gary Jackal back up here with MEM task tonight, so we'll give him the floor and y'all can ask him whatever you want to ask him. Or he can tell you what he's got for you or what he...
Well, how about if I tell you what I gave him this evening? And I hope I went back through my notes. I hope I got some information about questions you all had. This first little piece of it was that had the list of cities. Basically, what I tried to do is kind of give you a sense for communities that are relatively close to Gordonsville size, and whether they were utilizing the state inspectors or if they were doing their own inspections. So that's what the notations are off to the side of that particular page. The second piece of paper then is what the current rates are based on the website of the City Marshal's office for building residential building permits, and they only do residential building permits. They don't do commercial building permits in the way they would do residential. So that typically, when you look at residential permits, they've kind of laid out their cost for the general fee plus the HVAC and plumbing inspection costs. And so you get a sense for what they are. And I included on the last page of that section what codes are currently enforcing, which you'll notice are almost predominantly the 2012 variations of the code, which means you all are in good shape in terms of the code that you're using for building permits. Because you have to be within 6 years of whatever the state has adopted. So you all are in great shape for probably for quite a while yet in that regard.
The state just sent us a thing that they're actually looking to adopt 18. So, but they haven't done it yet.
You still aren't relatively in good shape.
Right.
Timing-wise. Right. That's a decision. Yes, we're probably going to have another conversation some point down the road. Today's not that day. This year is not that day. So there is that. The second part of what I had given you is I intentionally tried to go back to what the International Code folks have put out as a part of the 2012 and some earlier updates to how they determine building permit fees and how they go about that. So that you could see in general how the fees typically get determined. And then along with that on the second page there is what the fees were as of February 2013 that are much like what you all have been talking about and looking at more recently. And as a matter of fact, the codes are all the same. There actually hasn't been any deviation as far as that goes. So that, one of the things that, as you read that first page that the International Council has put together, one of the qualifying factors sometimes is what it costs you as a community to do and run an inspection, building department, building inspections. All aspects of that, not just the folks doing the inspections, but the people in the office taking the paperwork and doing the, cashing the checks and making sure that paperwork gets from here to the building inspector and all the things get done that need to be done. All of that is a part of what they would consider. Now, and I don't know, because I haven't looked at your budget that closely to see if that's something that you segregate out as a part of your budget in terms of what it costs you all in total to do what we call a building department or building inspection program. But this gives you kind of a sense for how they generally come up with the numbers that they use to start with. And you could tell if you look at their numbers versus what you're operating with, they've gone up a little bit, mostly based on what it's costing to run programs for cities, the cost of doing the business when it comes down to it. And then the last couple, and I couldn't remember if I shared this part with you, but I could have come up with some more, but it didn't print out as well. What a couple of smaller communities do in terms of building permit fees, how they determine their Dover and Spring City. Dover being a bit more graphic. Spring City, which is kind of the last, Spring City is one of those two last pages. They've actually utilized the state fire marshal's schedule, if you actually compare the two. The only thing that they've added is the fee, well, it's actually on the bottom, the fee, and which is why I highlighted it, the $25 for building and special examinations.
So they're using, Spring City is using,
The state fire marshals,
the state fire marshal is using 2009, correct?
I'm not sure it's actually 2009. It might, I think it was earlier, more current than 2009.
12?
It might be 12, it should be 12, yes.
Here's what the international code is 2009, but the state's using, yeah, but the state's using 12, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're, okay.
Yes. So, and I think I've pulled up the information that you all were asking me to find. One of the things that and I've talked to some other communities, and I will tell you that their process for determining building permit fees are a throwback that is far more convoluted in terms of trying to figure it out. And frankly, it would have made no sense at all to try to write it down and share that with you, because in a couple of cases, I'm not sure I could have explained it. Because there were factors used that people were using them and couldn't tell me what they meant and why they were there.
But it doesn't say anything here about what percentage of this, how do they pay their inspector? Do they pay him a salary, or do they pay him a commission off of this?
Most of them pay, most of the cities that do their own, that aren't a part of the state program, they're actually paying them a salary. Now, and that can vary depending on, in some cases, on the size of the community. And I say that because I've actually got a few communities that will share building inspector, so that they may work part-time for your community and then also work part-time for the community just down the road. And I do have, I probably have 4 or 5 different groups of smaller communities that do that, spread out, from Stewart County to Cheatham County to Macon County. So it just kind of depends. The larger communities, when you start getting into the Mount Juliets, the Lebanons, the Cookvilles, they have full-time folks to do those programs because they need them typically. A lot of, at least more smaller communities don't need that level, full-time employees, so they are able to do it with part-time. And part of that is because it's getting harder to find people and be able to pay them what it typically costs now for a building inspector.
Qualified to keep up with the current codes and all.
Mm-hmm. And have all the certifications that someone needs to have to do it right. I mean, it's because there are certain certifications that you have for residential, and then there's certain certifications that you have to have for commercial. And then you get into all the specialty areas, the mechanical, the plumbing, the electrical, and so on. And so finding those folks is becoming very expensive, especially in the area that we live in. Unfortunately, what we're seeing out of Nashville and the surrounding areas has a tendency to drive the cost, is driving the cost up to be able to find good, qualified people.
In other words, if you go a cheaper route, and say you were paying, say, 50–60%, you still got to find somebody that'll agree to work for that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Someone who's qualified, someone who's got the
That's
certification.
what I'm saying. They've done. We had an inspector here before, and I think we were getting 10 cents a foot, and he got 50% of it, and so you build a 2,500 square foot house. It was $250. He got 125. That was it. Yeah.
Well,
But he did most of the inspection over the telephone. I mean, pictures. So I mean,
Was y'all looking for that other one?
You got
so
the 12, right?
that's the reason we're in jail with that.
that's what y'all, yeah, that's what y'all have given. I didn't.
That's 18.
That's what I've got.
Okay.
The towns that use the state inspector, is it run through the city hall team, or how does that
No,
work?
they actually, well, the cities that I more recently worked with, that they go directly through the state fire marshal's office. The applications are actually online at the state fire marshal's office. So they actually, so all the city has to do is that when someone comes in is to give them the information about getting online and filling out the state fire marshal's application as part of that process. And then
So when they submit that, they submit it to the fire marshal's office. They don't, there's not, anything's turned in here, nothing's picked up here, nothing's,
No money, no
Typically
nothing.
not, no. You know, the upside-
But we have no control of whether he says, I'll be there next Thursday, or I'll be there the next Thursday.
Well, and part of that too is, and well, in my spare time, I looked up because you can go online and see which inspectors cover which cities and counties. And the gentleman who covers Smith County, I mean, he goes from, at least as of the most current version of what the fire marshal has online, he goes from Harriman over that way to the Kentucky line, down to almost McMinnville, and then comes back to about here in this county. And I don't think he goes into Wilson County. I don't think. But I mean, but that's fairly common for that program, in that when you look at where folks are going, they're pretty far spread out.
Spread pretty thin.
So it could be an issue. I mean, especially if you have a number of communities that are in places that they're experiencing growth. And Harriman might be one of those places, kind of like you all. You know, they're right there on the interstate, just outside of Knoxville. So, I know they've actually had growth here of late. 'Cause I know the person who's the city manager over there. So I know they've had some stuff going on. So that's a hike and I've made that hike a few times. From here to Harriman is quite a drop. I'm not sure anybody would make that in a day. So, yeah, I mean, it becomes a concern about what all a person has on their plate to do, especially during what are, the primary building season. When the people first are getting their permits, and you've got to do initial inspections on foundations and footers and some of the framing work from what, April, maybe March if the weather's nice, till June. You could be running ragged from one end to the other. Did I leave anything out in terms of giving you information? I may actually have it, I may not have come up with the paperwork.
And you're basically saying the ball's just in our court for us to come up with.
Yeah, and I don't think that you all were too far off from the idea of, if you could do some playing around with the rate structure to some degree.
Or the percentages, or however we want to structure that.
Yeah, but I do know, and I went to the best that I could. The rates that you all have in front of you, or that were part of the original ordinance that you all shared with me. In a number of communities, you're actually fairly close to the ballpark of what a lot of other folks are doing, including Dover and Kingston Springs and some other folks. Even ones with the convoluted formula, you're actually
Wind up at the same place.
yeah, you're very close to the same place. The only place where it gets is different is when you start getting into the state program. At the higher levels, or higher value level of homes, then the state's not particularly pricing themselves to a point that they're going to break even.
I don't think our problem is in our valuation. I think our problem is in our calculation getting to this valuation. But this is a two-step process.
Yeah.
I think looking at our valuation versus what the state does, just exactly what you said, there's not a nickel or dime's worth of difference in it. It's just a matter of getting to that getting to that valuation. Whether you're using
Well-
2018 or 2009 or 2012 or.
And that's part of why I wanted to share with you that the information from the international about the formula that
So,
they tend
if-
to use.
So we have to be within 6 years, is that correct?
Yeah, with the code that you're using.
Okay. So state's currently using 12, but if they adopt 18 and we're in 12, we're not gonna have to come back in 6 months and change that, because we're still within 6 years.
Yes.
What about the classifications of say the church, we had them in, classified as?
Well, it was A3, but there's like 3 different versions of
Right.
A3.
Is that something that?
I think
The other thing, the other side to that is, if you classify their permit in a R1, all right, let's say we take a church to R1. You can't just classify their permit.
I wouldn't take them to our. That runs counter to everything.
Okay, that was my point, was that if we move them to a residential, then they fall under a residential code, and that ain't going.
No, and I would never recommend that, to be honest, because you've got other issues that you have to consider in terms of life safety.
Yep.
And
That was
so
my. That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
that gets you to a place.
Even though you want to put them, you're trying to do them a service and lower their permit fee, you can't lower their obligations when it comes to safety of people.
Yes, and the bigger the church, the more responsibility that becomes.
So then you have to leave them in an assembly type. There's no way to get them out of assembly. It's just a matter of trying to find them the lowest assembly, I guess.
Yeah,
If that's what you want to do,
that's up for you all,
I got you.
but that may be one a solution.
And it looks like the lowest one in that is A3.
Which one?
The lowest one in the assembly is A3. Falls under community halls, libraries, general assembly. It lowers it down from churches, $37.
And that's
Did you use A?
that
Well,
version,
there's two A3.
that version. There's 2 or 3 versions of A3 there.
Did you use 164 or 127? I know this is 18. I think it's just something that we need, if we do change this, we need to put churches in.
Yeah,
You want to
put them.
get one?
They,
Is that the 12?
This is 18.
Yeah, we got a copy of the 12 anywhere. We got a copy of that.
I was thinking there was a big difference in the two, but there may not be. I've seen some emails.
There's $37 difference. You got a copy of the 12, Junior? We got one somewhere. No, there, because we're using 18, so this is what we got with it.
One difference on it, Jane, I think this is what you're talking about. You use that VB, which is the lower type construction, just wood frame construction.
Which is usually what we've used on
Right,
everything.
That's what we've been using.
Uh-huh.
If you have single churches,
Uh-huh.
that's $164.62 on the 2000, on the latest
Mhm.
2018. But if you drop that down to the A3,
That's the $37 difference.
that's where the 37.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So if we do this going forward, we could put something in there saying that all churches be classified under A3.
Yeah, I mean, we can just kind of.
But that keeps us under-
I don't know, Jamie.
That keeps us under assembly for
Yes.
legal purposes.
Yes, you still would need
That
to
was my
maintain.
main concern for asking him about R1 is because somebody's going to assume the liability. Yeah. Okay. 12. But
I may have one in the truck.
I think mine's still in the car.
I think mine's in the truck.
So if you do that, just as a comparison,
This was
The
at
residential rate
most
is
current.
120.70
Prices.
It gets them,
So that's
it gets their
right.
price close, but it
Yes.
keeps their permits
That's
different,
right. That's right.
which I think is where we wanna be.
Yeah.
So that gets the R1, 1 and 2 family at 120 and the churches at 127.
This was a category.
So I mean, you ain't gonna, you're splitting hairs at that point.
Was that one. On the charges for.
And this is going on 18, I don't know what the 12 is.
I think the way the ordinance is written, it says using the most current.
Most current, yeah, the current ordinance, but if we choose to
Something
change
we
that,
choose to-
yeah,
to
if we
look at,
choose, yeah.
that's within reason.
Does that answer y'all's questions? I mean, I don't think that that's up for discussion right now. That's something that we've got to,
So looking,
some,
Y'all satisfied?
Well,
if you're gonna amend an ordinance, you've gotta have a new ordinance.
yeah, you gotta have, yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, that's the thing, I think we need, this is me talking, I think we need to maybe look at using the 2012 versus 2018. Just to lower that valuation down, and then I think we also,
How long can we use that though before we have to go to 18?
the state is at 12, and you have to be within 6 years. So even if the state adopts 18, we're still good until the state adopts again, which it looks like it's been 3 to 12 years because there's a 9, a 12, and a 18. So probably 21 or
Well, I mean, everything, you know, that's why I gave you that one piece of paper about the codes that they're using currently,
Yep.
being 12. So, you know, when you do that math, it might be
24
24.
or 21 because it was. I think there's a 9 code, a 12 code, and an 18.
Well, there's a 12 and a 15 and an 18.
I just got something the other day about the codes, and I'm gonna give it to Jamie to look at to see all about the new codes adopting. New
is that what
building
you
code.
emailed me the other day?
Yeah, I emailed you
Yeah,
that the other
and
day.
Jerry and I talked about it. It's basically putting us on notice. The state's about to do 2000.
About to go to 18, but that
About to go to
but
18.
even if we adopt 12, we're within 6 years.
Within 6 years, yes.
Until they go to 18.
No, we could still stay there.
For how
Still
long?
within
Change
si-
it 6
until they
years.
change it again.
Until they change it again. You can kind of stay one behind or
and
something
when
like
you drop that classification, I mean, that snowballs to plan review too, because that drops that
That's
cost
right.
also.
That's
It
right.
took them almost that long to do 12.
And then right now we're on a 60-40. Is that right? We get 60 or we get 40?
We get 40.
We get 40.
D to the inspector. 40 to the town.
It was 50%, I think, plus or minus 10 on that.
And then we get 0, he gets 100% of the plan review fee on commercial only, because there is no plan review fee on residential.
Correct. That's right.
So if we're gonna change this ordinance, we gotta have a motion to change that ordinance, and we gotta have 2 readings in order to change it.
You would need an ordinance that amended the other ordinance, and you would direct city recorder, me, whoever, us together to present an ordinance.
And then at that point, we decide who does this going forward, and are they willing to do that? Or we can open up and say, who's interested in doing these services for this split? Now, we can't bid it out.
No.
I listened. I don't know what kind of grade
I
I
mean,
get.
not to oversimplify, the ordinance can say whatever you want it to. You
Yeah,
can say
but, yeah,
how you want to, that.
then we can say who wants to do these services for,
Right. You could review that each year, each 2 years, something like that.
That sounds great to me. we'll just have to come up with what we wanna set, what we want to charge, and then make the motion accordingly. I don't know if that's done in a work session or
I don't think that's necessary, is it? I mean, unless that's up to the
It's
board.
up to the council. Just need some direction on what you want the ordinance to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're approving it, but you need something to look at, and we can draft it up any way you want us to. Within a proposed ordinance, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, so the plan review fee is half of the permit, correct?
Yes, commercial, yes.
Half of the permit. And we discussed, right or wrong, about there's a possibility of capping that plan review fee. Or do you not see that done anywhere?
I can't say that I've seen that.
Okay.
anywhere,
Okay, that's fine.
to be honest.
Okay.
And I think part of that, honestly, has to do with when you get into commercial use, and while you all may not have to deal with it just yet, eventually you're going to, you're gonna start dealing with, stormwater detention and runoff, and especially as it comes to commercial uses, you're going to have engineering review of those site plans, those, every inch of them.
The percentage on the plan review fee, do you see that normally being, or is that just all over the board?
It's kind of all over the board.
Okay.
I haven't seen a lot of variation, but then again, the places, and I didn't, and here's the thing, I did not look at larger communities,
Well, we're not
Which-
comparable.
but it would have given me a sense for what some other folks do, where they've got a lot of commercial developments, or commercial developments that are particularly maybe larger, where you might have a sliding scale based on size. Because regardless, there's a certain level of review you're gonna have to do with commercial development.
Yeah, I mean, and you would want, and you,
Yes, but as projects get a little larger,
Right.
then there's a little more that needs to happen, but it's not necessarily on the same volume, if you know what I mean. It's not the same, you may not have that all the time, you may just have it on 1 out of 3 projects where you've got to really look at things like drainage ponds and where's the water going when it comes off of our property so that it doesn't harm the people next to us.
so, keep me legal here. On these plan review fees in our new ordinance,
Yeah.
which the mayor has done, but we could say that on churches, if we had a percentage of that plan review fee, we could choose to waive our percentage of the plan review fee for churches. And I'm not trying to give the bank away here, I'm trying to weigh my options but right now, as it stands, we have because we do not get any percentage of that.
Right. But it goes to the folks doing the inspections and the plan review.
Uh-huh.
I think you're cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yep.
I mean, the work's the same.
Yep.
Whether it's a church
Yeah.
or a Hardee's, the work's the same.
But we could, well, we're already
Well,
lowering
and
the
I'll tell you what,
classification.
I would argue with churches, it might actually be more.
Yeah,
Because typically churches
larger assembly.
and have larger parking lots,
Mm-hmm.
almost always, than a Hardee's. So you actually have, generally speaking, more review of how they lay out their lot to deal with water coming off the parking lot and off the building. trust me, you do not want to make a mistake with a church when you've got 4 or 5 houses right next to them. Because if water's running off into my house and I'm next door to the church you just approved, guess who's going to be the first person at this city council meeting after a rain like we just had? It would be me, and I would be mad.
The state on their plan review fee, the inspector gets
Inspector gets it all.
on the state.
Yeah, that formula, that all goes to the state.
Okay.
The cities don't
Get nothing.
see any of it.
That's just residential.
It's just, yeah, well, but the state, and that's the thing, the state only does
We don't get any of it now.
stuff. I mean, that program is strictly residential.
So
So what do we do if we have a church and a commercial building?
You'll hire yourself an engineer who's got people on their staff that do,
commercial engineering.
yeah, and plan review type stuff. And if you look at the list, and here's one of your telltale signs. If you look at the list of the cities who are participating in the state program, they're smaller communities that are in mostly rural areas,
Most of them are not on I-40.
not even close.
That's right. That's just what I was going
Or
through looking
I-24
at.
or I-65.
Yeah, you take
Any of
a
that.
lot of the state folks are up in northwestern Tennessee, Dyer and Kenton, Rutherford, and I
Yeah.
was looking at those. And
Well, so, I mean, yeah, that's true. And so there's, their assumption is for the bulk of those cities, I mean, there are some that have commercial development, like Gainsborough. But the bulk of them is what they're concerned about is residential, 1 and 2 family residential, which is why the fire marshal's office has that program in place.
Inspector wants to waive a fee, he can waive a fee if he wants, that's on him. Or as say,
I'm not sure the state fire marshal would feel excited about that.
yeah,
Only because,
yeah.
because they're getting, that's a partial, I mean, that inspector is getting more than what that fee is from the state of Tennessee.
it's
Yeah.
one of those things
Yeah.
that
It's from the state's point of view, they're viewing it as a service that helps small communities come into compliance with residential building codes. And which is why it focuses on 1 and 2 family residential. They don't, as a matter of fact, I'm not even sure they do apartment buildings. I think they try to stay out of that and view that more as a commercial activity rather than residential.
So then you turn around and hire an engineer and go all over again.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Because at some point, and I'm
So do you
I'm telling you, you're gonna
offset
have
the
to deal with
100%
stormwater.
plan review with a 50-50 split? If you can't get this.
yeah, I don't see any way around that, to be honest.
So because you're not getting any of this, you offset this and you adopt 2012.
We don't,
I mean, I don't think it's gonna do any good. I mean, I don't wanna act on something all at once, but I don't know if we're gonna be any further along a month from now than we are right now. I mean, it's not gonna be any different. So do we start drawing up an ordinance? Do you need a motion to start doing
I
drawing?
started to say I would envision that someone make a motion, which I can't do, of course, but
Okay.
someone make a motion indicating they would like the council to be presented with an ordinance that says X, Y, Z.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion that we begin writing the ordinance to change the chart that we're using from 2018 to 2012 and the split from 60-40 to a 50-50 split. That, and 100% of the plan review fee would go to the inspector. And that all churches be put under A3 Assembly General. And that we see who's interested in doing these services for City of Gordonsville. Not bidding it out, according to Mr. Jacob. Twice.
In 1 meeting.
That sounds crazy.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Motion that an ordinance change the chart from 2018 to 2012 with 100% of the fee to go to the inspector. Churches be changed all in A3.
100% plan review fee.
Well,
go to
all
the
right,
inspector.
yeah, 100%.
And the split be changed to a 50-50 split. And if nobody's willing to do it for that, then we back up and write another ordinance. Am I correct, Jamie?
You gotta have somebody to do it, so yeah.
That's what I'm
You don't
saying.
get
So, I
anybody.
mean, if we open this up, and that's my reason for doing that, open this up, who wants to do it for this? If nobody's interested, or if 10's interested, we know. And if we've drew up something that's unrealistic here, then we go back to the drawing board, but we gotta start somewhere.
Yes. And I take it your motion is for a proposed ordinance to be drafted.
Correct, sir.
All right.
Clarification, you're talking about the building valuation data from 2012.
From 2018 to 2012. Our total valuation will not change, just the chart that, how we
Yes.
get there.
And just to help Jamie, I pulled up a copy of the August 2012, and I can forward that.
Perfect.
to
I
you.
had it, but finding it.
Same thing.
So that's a motion.
All right, ordinance change charts 2018 to 2012. 100% of the plan review goes to the inspector. All churches A3.
General. A3 general instead of A3 churches. There's about a $37 difference there. And that gets them more in line with R1, but keeps them under the commercial.
And change the building inspector from 60/40 to 50/50.
See who will and who wants to do it. But close. Start. Draw it up.
We'll put
Draw it
some-
up and we'll butcher it. I mean, but
That's fine.
we're not going. 30 days from now, we're not going to be any closer than we are right now.
I can come
Got
up
a
with
motion, need a second.
A second motion.
Call roll.
Profit,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Pantry,
Yes.
Potts,
Yes.
Slatton.
Yes.
All yes, motion passed.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for your work. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Always willing to help wherever I can.
Thank you much.
Just call.
It's clear as mud.
I'm over here a lot because I spend a fair amount of time up in Carthage.
I can only imagine.
You get office. You get office.
And while he's here,
Somebody mentioned that to me a while back.
while he's here, I want to thank Mr. Jekyll. I lean on him quite a bit. This ABC ordinance you're looking at today, even in that, he's quick to respond and always great too. So I certainly appreciate it. He's a great resource.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Is that one of your alls to talk about this?
Yeah, it's on the agenda here.
Maybe I'll stick around. Let me sit back down.
Well, you won't bring it up.
Yeah.
We'll just bring it up next.
All right.
Doing that.
Next we go to line item 10 on the new ABC ordinance first reading.
Speak to the. You want me to speak to that
Yes,
one?
yes.
This is in fact a revised ABC ordinance. There has been, and Mr. Jacob can correct me, but to save on time, there has been more of a shift, I suppose, to take away powers more from the local side to shift it to the state ABC. This ordinance that you see is very, very close It gave some options in the sample that MTAS through Mr. Jekyll has put out. You will still have a board, but it will be considered strictly a beer board. The ABC or the alcohol version of that will actually be more under the purview of the council, more mayor and board of aldermen. But as far as penalties and things of that nature, it's much more of a deferral to the state ABC commission. And this is your first reading. You could pass it tonight, have a chance to look at it more thoroughly, ask us any questions, and then it'll be on for public hearing and a second reading for final approval next month.
So the beer board will remain intact, but serve more as a beer, and this will
If
be.
not more, it is. It's
It
just
is,
all beer.
Yep, yep. And this is just more of a,
This brings us into more compliance with state law,
Yep.
is the best way to put it.
and this is something that just changed
Well,
last year.
we could have probably been quicker. Yeah, it's probably been a year or so.
Yeah,
But
okay.
we've not done anything wrong in the meantime, I assure you.
And acting as a council, like you said, any fines or anything is deferred to the state. This is just
You are
an act.
required to report it to the state ABC commission, and they actually levy the fines.
As it relates to alcohol sales, I mean, you can, if someone's having, you can use some things to check on people, but if you find that a liquor store is violating the law, there's actually a place that you can go on the ABC website and fill out a form and notify ABC that you have an issue.
But our beer board still takes care of underage beer sales and that kind of thing. Gotcha.
And there's-
This is more of a liquor by the drink type deal, and
Yeah.
liquor stores, and
Yeah, you could still do like responsible vendor, like.
Yeah. yeah.
Yeah.
So
But in
they're
terms
just
of
separating the
actual
two basically.
In terms of store, the owner of the store, and, suspending them or, giving them a fine. No. No.
My job don't change, theirs does.
Well, yours changes in a minor way, in the sense that you've got to let them know if someone's having an issue, because ultimately it does go back to the ABC, and they keep track of where there's been issues, and so they'll go visit the owner and do the re-education, about the, yeah.
It's just separating that,
Yeah.
breaking that away from the ABC board. There'll not be an ABC board now, it'll just be the beer board. I make a motion, we pass ordinance 19-2-11, first reading.
Motion to pass ordinance 19-0211. Need a second.
I second.
Roll call.
Profit. Hart.
Yes.
Yes.
Andrews. Potts.
Yes.
Slatton.
Yes.
Oh, yes, motion passed.
Now you can go.
Good news. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, appreciate it. Somebody must have two police reports on that.
We got none.
Don't have one.
Sorry, no.
Middle January, February's been pretty big. Luckily, we have caught just about everybody we went after, so. I think we still got a propane tank, it's been stolen that we ain't caught.
Other than that.
Other than that, we're good. And we've had cow problems.
Cat.
There's 30.
Little old cat.
Once it gets out, it gets back in, though.
Cow.
Where at?
They all got
On the
400.
highway, one place.
Right next to CE's, that subdivision coming this
Really?
way.
Living Waters Church, McKinney Road, and the subdivision out there. We've been out there 14 times on each of them.
And every time it's that little old 300-pound cat.
You know, out in Paris, Tennessee, the sheriff put a deputy on the hood of his car and he lassoed a cow on Highway 79. You remember that? He sure did.
Now what fool's gonna do that and hold on to the rope?
That happened.
I'll drive them.
Yeah.
But nobody else.
Hey, that happened. That was last year.
get somebody hurt.
Chief, they need a push dog on the front.
Yeah.
Bill Duncan animal
He sure did. He put a guy on that lasso. Sure that was against OSHA. Can you imagine? What OSHA was sitting up there?
Pretty wild.
Oh, really?
We touched him the other
You
day.
been in on that one too?
Then they spelled the same.
Move on, fire report. We don't have anybody from the fire department.
Can I say something on behalf? Sterling called me on my way up here and said that if I would bring up, they're gonna feed the guys that's in training. There's about 15 of them that was coming up Saturday. It was gonna be sandwiches from Walmart and chips, and he just wanted me to bring that up.
He talked to us last meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
He just wanted me brought up.
That was cheaper than the training, I think, so I think that's a, yeah.
Okay.
Good deal.
Anything else?
No.
Financial report, statements. We wound up a little better than I was figuring.
Still about $1 million.
Barely. Yeah, but, that's,
It'll go down a little bit and it'll come back up.
I suspect it was low.
Well, it got down there about
Property
nine,
taxes.
about 9.5 before, and then it
Property
come.
tax.
A few taxes brought it back up.
I pay mine now. Really help it come up.
let's see, we're doing good on this local option right now. It's up. If you look over on
Yeah.
what's coming in, your local option's up. But now it's July.
What, is that on old
Yeah,
business, or we
well,
gonna do that
I
now?
can do it now. I can do it now.
Yeah.
What about
Oh.
that?
They
We're gonna
good.
have, well, we're gonna have to do a new ordinance on special election.
Election?
I've not found, one thing I wanna do, Mayor brought up, I'm gonna confirm with Carthage, they're in the same boat, but everybody I've talked to, everything I've looked at, we gotta do it. So, next month, you should have an ordinance to
Special election.
special election. Gotta be passed 2 times, and then we'll have to decide.
When the
I'll talk to the
election
election commission, see when, I could see them maybe doing it in May. I don't know if they'll do some
They
elections
get done
in May.
before July.
What was the cost roughly of that? Was it like 10,000?
It used to be about 10 grand. I don't know. I'm sure it costs that much.
I'd say between 10 and 15 easy.
Yeah.
But you're talking about losing about
It was
$8,000 a
100
month. If we don't, if we
What was
lose
the
it.
amount on the
About
total?
Well, we'll get
8,000 a
more
month.
because of that 2 3/4% is on there. We're only getting about 36% of it. This way we'll get the whole 100.
Maybe closer to $150,000.
Well, it will. Well, instead of,
It's worth,
you figure if $8,000 is a third, then if you get 100, you're gonna get 24. If you get 8 and it's a third, if you get the whole
they'll
thing.
still get,
About
they'll,
$250,000.
they'll still get part of it
No,
for figuring it?
I don't think so. They might get something other for,
Yeah.
on that, but that won't be nothing like, well,
They'll probably have, you don't think they'll get any kind of administrative?
No, they'll get an
fee?
administrative, but
I
it
think
won't
1%,
anywhere near
something.
what they're
1% or
getting.
something like
Yeah.
the school,
Schools,
will the school still get half? Well, if the school still gets half, then we, instead of, it'll still be, right, $10,000 or something like that.
Is that something we can remotely nail down, that what we will be losing? I know that the numbers out there.
Gonna lose 100 right off the bat.
Well, just take 27% is what the figures was on every what we bringing in on a month.
That way, when we go, when these people come and say, you know,
Why are you putting this
why
on
are we
there?
putting this back on there? That way, we all are on the same page.
How much we bring in last month?
citizens that pay it though.
I know that,
But they're the ones that are gonna ask.
Is that just city?
Local option last month was right at $32,000.
Last vote they had on it, 65 people voted.
So, last month was what?
31.9 something, so $32,000.
$32,000
Fourth of
and
that.
at 27, even at 25, a fourth, a 32, what?
That's not what it affect.
It's $8,000.
8 times 12, 96.
So $100,000 what we're gonna lose. But if we do pass this, we stand to gain more like 150.
Until they put it back on. They'll put it right back on. I
Before
mean,
July.
yeah. And we'll spend 10,000.
We'll spend our money to do it.
To do the election.
So I was kinda curious about what the county.
The last time election they had, they didn't vote was 60 some odd.
Can't blame
I
Well, if we
wouldn't
can
take
get
it
all
off.
we can get.
them. If we get it for 2 months, well, pretty much 1 month to wipe out the cost of
How
that.
sure are you that the county's gonna do that?
I'm not gonna speak to how sure I am, but
Well, you tell us how you feel.
if it was my vote, I would vote that the county needs to do it as fast as they can do it.
Just like we trying to do. Everybody's racing to the end. I mean, so that's why that's what I'm saying.
That's what I was saying.
Do you spend $10,000 on the election?
I mean, there's a total across the board is $100,000 a month.
Well, I think we got to spend it.
It's $100,000 a month that across the county. Of course, that's Carthage, Gordonsville, and South Carthage, and the county, and the schools. They all figured.
What happens, Jamie, if we
That's what I'm
go?
going, that's.
We'll be right back in the same boat.
No,
That's
no,
what
no,
they
no,
did.
no. What happens if we go forward with this,
Yes.
and then we got an election set for May, and then in April the 15th, they come up and say
We got a special.
they got a special meeting. Can we call that election off, or we still got to spend the $15,000 for election?
Ooh, you probably already spent the money. You can call the election off, but I think you're out the money.
Yeah. Because see, I'm thinking the same thing as Jay's thinking. All right, so if we do this, and then later on the county's like, well, we're going to have a special election.
We spend 15 to get a month's worth. We're going backwards.
But it not pass.
In the county,
That's true.
I'd certainly defer to Mr. McKinney, but it would be, I think the commission's gonna be hard pressed
to let that
after
go.
they just took it off
Yeah, right.
to put it back on.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the budget and finance meetings have come out, but
I don't want
Kinda-
to cherish your hearts any, but from just previously sitting on this board and then sitting on the county board, the county could definitely use the money.
Yeah.
I know the city could use it too, but.
Yeah.
We gotta
But-
do what's best for
Yeah,
this.
and,
Yeah,
and,
right.
and that's
Right
what,
now.
Yes, sir.
and
Yeah,
if
I
anybody,
agree.
on my behalf, I want to do what's best for not only the whole county, but particularly this district, so, but.
The
for
school
my-
board losing $50,000 on the league because it was a flat dab
Well,
of
we got to take the risk of trying to do it. I mean, we can't stand to. Because what happens if ours passes and theirs don't, and there's nothing to say that ours won't pass. But if it don't, then it ain't the will of the people, and
Depends how good you
Make it
market
the
it.
public
you'll
aware.
have to
You
election
gotta
it.
market it.
And we
You'll
will.
have to work it.
you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to work it to get people even to vote. Period.
well, last time the vote was 60 something. When the last one was done, and it never was initiated because then the county come right in and just squashed it right after that.
They have 40 days
Uh-huh.
after yours passes to come in.
They have.
40 days.
I don't see no reason to go forward with it. I mean,
No, you'd have to. Or-
no, I'm saying if they got 40 days to squash it, then if ours passes,
But it's got
they're
to
gonna
pass.
squash it.
Theirs has got to pay.
Theirs has got to pass too. They can't.
Theirs has got to go on a ballot.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, now they're not going to put one on the ballot. I wouldn't think until the next
Till next
election.
election.
So you'll get it for that period of
I
time.
believe that the county board could put it back on.
I agree.
Without an election.
Oh, I think the county court can
Yeah,
put it
here we
back
go
on.
now. Yeah, now we're getting, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
After your
Till
election,
next election.
and after your election is certified, they've got 40 days by
That
the
they
statute
can put it back
that they
on.
can put it back
Well,
on.
then there ain't no use us putting it, I mean, this is me talking. As soon as we put it on, they're gonna squash it, because they don't have to have an election. Why wouldn't it?
I'd wait at least one more month. for you.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, that's my old. I was saying that was what I was trying to say was that you got to figure there that
As soon as we put it on, they're gonna squash it.
that's what they.
It'd be tough. They just had it taken off. The voters just took it off. They gotta think about that. If they
I
put it
thought-
back on,
I thought they had to put it back on referendum just like we did before.
I don't think so. I'll look to make sure.
You,
but
make sure on that. Well, you know,
I will.
I thought that when they pulled it back off, you had to do it to put it on.
the referendum originally.
Yeah.
I think you can put on a referendum without.
How come we can't then?
Because the law says we can't. That's how we get. We're like starting the process. we're starting the process, and we have.
They've already got the process started. I'll get
Oh.
you. Got you.
We're starting over.
I don't see it there any different than we are. When they took it off, they ought to be back to stage
I
one.
agree. I'd say that's what I'm thinking too.
I'm thinking that they, I'm thinking that they'll have to put it back on referendum too. Of course, I'm not a lawyer and just thinking that.
Y'all keep meeting. I'll go. I got
Okay.
the car.
Put you on the spot.
I wanna be aggressive on it, I don't care what it is, I don't wanna lose it. And I wanna get it all.
County mayor told me the other day, he didn't seem
all
to
we're
think
doing
we'd
is
have to
putting
do
it on
nothing.
Well, like I said,
Us?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm getting, saying you're.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, you know.
I didn't say Mike was on tonight, he said it'd be next month.
Yeah, but he just told me that the other day.
What's that?
The county mayor don't think we gotta do nothing.
That's
What he told me.
what a past mayor here told me too, but that's not the way, that's not the way.
He might be just telling me
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Yeah.
I mean, you know, I mean, that's what he telling me.
We got Jamie D.
So we'll-
He's already just keep scratching his head over, losing his hair.
I'm just going by this.
What I think and what you think, and if you did, that's the law.
Just because
I think if we had to do that, they would have to.
you would think
But
county's a little different.
Yep, I see.
And you've got a lot of new commissioners, so are they gonna push for
They
that?
weren't voted in.
Well, they're broke. I mean, they got to.
If they weren't voted in, it wasn't.
How do you like that property tax rate?
Yeah, yeah,
Would you like it to be more than it is?
Leave it alone.
yeah. I mean, that's
No new taxes. So you should tell Bill Woodard every time we go over. No new taxes. You see, Michael, you tell me that every time I go. I said I'm going to continue to tell you
I
that.
don't think people complain about having it on there, it depends on what you wanna use it for.
Well, the sales tax.
Well, that's where they're going, you're gonna catch, on the county over there, they're not gonna say, well, what are you gonna do that? If I was on the county court, I would specify that money would go into a building fund that could only be spent on a building.
Yeah.
Don't put it in, let them put it in the general, then they
Yeah.
spend it on
Spend whatever they want.
whatever they want to. But now that's by,
Well, aren't they going to have to do something about this building for Gordonsville, regardless of where they build it?
I was told the other day that we're in good shape. We've got New Milton and everything just hunky.
Well, why'd they spend that freaking money?
Yeah,
So
to buy
piece
that
of property down here
property.
for then.
Well, there was more involved than that. There was,
What's your check without getting a?
they had some grant money there that they hadn't spent, and it was gonna be out in December.
Spend it to get it back.
And they bought it, it was a one-time expenditure.
Right.
And so they spent, and that's about all they could spend it on was land. And
That's
when
correct.
they got through, they didn't have but a little over $100,000 in that property. And then they got
Was
the,
there-
Race to the top money that got set aside, and it's been sitting there. And
And,
there forever, and they had to do something.
the sign will pay back for that in 10 years. So basically, they got that property for nothing. Because he had told him that if he didn't spend the money by Christmas, the money was going back. So basically,
Well, they saying we're in good shape, but, we got kids that live right here that have to go over there. They shouldn't have to be.
I drive it every day, twice a day.
I'm still saying, he shouldn't have to be.
Yes, sir.
I just got a text back from Joey Nixon, the chairman. I was wrong. I was under the impression, but he's saying that, his text, if we wanted to put it back on immediately, yes, we would have to have a special election. It just has to be a full county election. The next one isn't until next summer.
What happens is,
Or we can
And
wait and
the
do ours
mayor's-
the same thing.
The mayor, but you're without the money.
without the money. So then it won't cost nothing.
Right, but you're without your.
But we're
But
also
you're-
gonna lose a lot of money
money.
between now and then.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna lose a year's money.
This is an older book, but it reads basically the same thing. That the effect of if you pass your ordinance and you have your referendum and it passes, the effectiveness of the ordinance shall be suspended for a period of 40 days beyond the date on which it would otherwise be effective under the charter of the city or town. During the 40-day period, the county adopts a resolution to levy the tax, so on and so forth. The effectiveness of the ordinance shall be further suspended until it is determined whether the county tax is to be operative as provided in another statute, and that statute is the referendum. So the county would have to have
A special
a
election,
special election.
just like us.
Just like
what I
you.
Okay,
Yes.
so
They are correct.
So we can put it on. Yeah. Okay. So then we proceed full steam
Like I said,
ahead.
let's don't do it tonight, let's just think about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Joey just said it estimates it's gonna cost the county 20,000 to have a full county special election.
So we're looking at $10,000-15,000.
Well, ours are probably
Very
10,
small.
8 or 10, maybe under 10, I would think.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So do we want an ordinance on the tax next month or hold?
This is February, you have it in March.
You did March,
In
April.
April.
You want an election in
May or June.
June at the latest.
Yeah,
'cause-
because we got to pass the budget in June to be ready for July.
Yeah, we might ought to do that.
Gonna draw one
Yeah,
up?
yes.
I mean, it won't hurt. We'll just
Yeah.
get the ball rolling. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
Need a motion?
No, I'll just do that one.
Yeah.
I can use the old ordinance.
All right, line item 9. All right, y'all got in your packets there. Just something that they sent to us just this week. Yeah, I don't know where mine went.
Hunting all that?
That's it right there.
All right, yeah. Something else you better look at, because what this is, that if somebody stays here 30 years, and say they start when they're 20, 21, and at 51 they decide they're going,
55.
huh?
I think at 55.
Is it 55? Okay, say it's 30 years and at 55 they want to retire. What we're going to be voting here is, are we going to pay their insurance for them until they're 65? Are we going to opt in or are we going to opt out? It's over there.
Well, first of all, nobody knows how much insurance is going to be when somebody's been here 30 years.
It's and
How in the world do you budget for something such
well,
as
there
that?
won't probably be nobody here 30 years, but the thing of it is, we've got to either opt in or opt out here that who comes in here later on, that if we happen, what's the chances that somebody's going to stay 30 years?
Well, again, you can't budget for it because you don't know what it is.
But we still got to opt in or opt out.
Then I say we opt out.
Well,
If
that's,
you can't plan for it and don't know what it's going to cost,
Well,
you better not
that's,
sign up for it.
Yeah, for TCRS or just employee?
TCR.
I'll have that in here for
So,
You may have to get a second job to pay your insurance.
goodness,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Evidently.
I just, and there ain't no way to know. Looks to me like
This
that's
is what
passing.
got all these big car companies in trouble back.
Yeah, so you
People working from 60, 70.
You got a fair bit on that.
That's Jamie for sure about that. We
all right. About opting in or opting out on this here, to whether we pay their insurance after they're 55 years old, till they're 65, if they've got 30 years of service, is that right?
One more time.
Well, I don't know, read it. I'll mess around and
Let's
get
if
it wrong.
somebody works here 30 years,
30 years.
Jamie, but they retire before 65.
At 55,
we would pay their insurance for 10 years,
this is something.
Before they become Medicare eligible.
correct?
Yeah.
Which would be part of their post-employment.
Retirement.
If we opt in, that's what we're doing, and then if we opt out,
I would think if you're not doing it now,
Then it changed it
you would opt out.
67.
well, we're sure not doing it now.
No.
That
You
would be
want
the
to
option.
opt out. That would
The
be
option
second
three.
option.
Option 3 is that when we want.
You're out of order.
Well,
You're out of order.
read.
Citizens arrest.
Yeah, that option 3 down there is another.
Or I don't know. See, I'm not sure. That's what I wanted you to.
Says
look at.
limited opt out with continued coverage for current retirees. You're not doing that now.
Not doing
No.
it
So
now.
I think you want number 2.
Option 2.
Or you're fully opting out.
I just don't. I mean, I don't see how you can budget for that.
Well, they must come up with some.
Well, 30 years ago, there'd be somebody else here. That'd be like somebody doing something other 30
That's
years
right.
ago.
And binding somebody the
And
next.
you were being, and then you would have to have,
Yeah.
you'd have to have somebody that started when they were probably 25 years old and worked 30 years.
I guess we need somebody to make a motion to
I make a motion. We opt out.
do option 2.
Option 2. Other post OPEB.
Need a second.
I said,
Who did?
That's all right.
I gave it up.
Roll call.
Crawford.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Van Tree.
Yes.
Hot.
Yes.
Slayton.
Yes.
Oh yes, motion passed.
Colby, you got the floor, son.
I'll take just a second to talk about, Joey texted me back about the issue. He said that, he said, don't hold him to this, but he believes that if the county decided to do it on the next election, which would be in 2020, August the 3rd, that the county couldn't collect it until the next budget, which would be July 1st of 2021. So,
We're doing the same thing. We've got to get ours done so we can put it in the budget for this July budget.
Anyway, I asked to formally be on the agenda as a courtesy to you guys. Just for the record, my name's Colby McKinney, and I'm the owner of Smith County Insider. Give you a little brief history about us. We launched in June of 2015. In those little over, I guess, coming up on 4 years. We've grown to be pretty popular in the county. We average somewhere between 80 and 100,000 views to our website per month. And we have one of the largest Facebook accounts in the county, about 9,400 as of today. And that's pushing more than, I think DT McCall's has us beat, but they're region wide. So we got a pretty big following. A couple of years ago, we started streaming the school board and also the county commission. The popularity of those have grown, especially with due to people wanting to be more involved with what's going on in local government. Just recently, we had a lot of demand to start Carthage City, and we're on our second or third meeting of them, and it's going good, and we're going to gradually pick up more meetings, and you guys are next. We plan to start in March. We will be at, starting out, we'll be at every regular stated council meeting, and as most of the special meetings as we can, depending on how much notice we have. No committee meetings at this point until we pick up South Carthage. That'll be our last, and that's just due to demand. But instead of just showing up with throwing a camera in your face, just wanted to give you a month heads up as a courtesy that we would be coming, and we'll be streaming it live. This past Thursday night, we had 100 live viewers for Carthage City. So I don't know if you guys will be that popular, but we'll see. We're offering this as a service to the community, and up until just recently, it's been at full expense to us. But we had actually someone reach out to us that wanted to financially sponsor the Stream for Carthage, and we graciously took it, but we've never received any money to stream the county commission or school board. Now, if somebody'd like to do it, we're probably not going to tell them no, but we feel like it's a good community service, and it also drives traffic.
You have a sponsor for Gordonsville now or no?
No,
Yeah,
not,
that's what
not
I
as
said
of today.
That's good.
Okay.
Not as of today, but if we won't get into that tonight, but
Yeah.
but just want to give you guys a heads up. If you have any questions, concerns, let me know. Now's the time to talk about it. If you do have any concerns, me and Jamie's worked with this before on the school board. They were, I think they were a little hesitant at first, and then but they've grown to like it, I think. So it really opens up a new level of transparency. But I guess I'll take any questions. We're not here to mess with you or hurt your feelings. We're just we're doing a service to our community, and thing about it is, you see, there's nobody here, and nobody knows what's going on in our city unless it's what you guys tell them. And if you guys can't remember what happened in the meeting, they may be getting skewed information, and they can get it right from the source as it happened. So, anybody got any questions?
Sounds good.
This
Thank
is Rachel
you.
Petty. She is the manager of Smith County Insider. You may see another one of my employees, Anthony Taylor, from time to time, or J.R. Smith. Just depending on Rachel's availability and my availability. I may come some, just because I have a dual role. I'm also your county commissioner for this district, and I want to be here if you have any questions for me.
You got a mic on your camera, or you got tabletop?
We will have a tabletop mic.
Good.
It'll sit right there in the center of the table. And I will tell you, it is sensitive.
Some petty needed a cough drop.
Yeah.
David Apple needs to quit that joke.
The first meeting we did with Michael Nesbitt, I had to text Michael Nesbitt and tell him to quit whispering to Daisy. Because, he was, I mean, it was picking up every word of it. And so just keep that in mind. You know, in the past, I know I've sit on the council and I'd lean over to Jay and say, what do we need to do? You know, just to kind of whisper. So I would keep that in mind. Don't say it unless you want everybody to hear it.
Gotcha.
But which you shouldn't say anything that you wouldn't want in a public meeting that you don't want anybody to hear anyway. So, any other questions or concerns, or otherwise we'll be here in March and from here on out, unless we're crazy booked. But as far as we know, and if there's anything we can do for you, it's something that we hadn't done, but we want to start doing is anytime you have anything going on with the city, we can help you promote. For example, this coming up, if you're going to market your putting on this sales tax, we can help you with that. The thing about us is a physical paper, they're limited to real estate. They only have so much space in their paper that they can put stuff. We're unlimited space. So we can help you promote if you win an award, or if you got an employee that served a certain amount of years and you want to give him a little PR, or if you got like somebody donates money to the city or something, anything that we can do to help positively promote the city, we're here as a service to you at no cost. So now, with that being said, if you're wanting to promote something really heavily, you may have to advertise. But if it's something like a PR type piece, we can help you with that. But if the city does want to place an advertisement about something, that may be different. But any type of anything else, we can definitely help you promote it. So, any other questions from me? I know I don't want to. You've been here an hour already, and that's a longer meeting.
I don't, Kobe and I, it's correct, we work with the school board. Honestly, he knows this, and everybody here knows this. There's nothing we can do to prohibit that. It's an open meeting. You can provide him with reasonable regulations of where he stands and where he has never been. Well, that was the one rule at the school board, was I was never on the camera, but told me to do it. But you can, the mayor or whomever can tell him where to be. You don't want to get a situation where there's multiple in here. You could actually instruct to do like one camera feed. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Nobody else does it, but it's just the wave of the future. Most of your, just about every county commission, every city council, some way, metro on down is videoed now. Just about every school board is.
Probably maybe here in front of this desk or over there in the corner, whichever. This desk right here would probably be our best, but we'll do whatever you tell us to do.
This is better back here.
Picked up a little bit.
And,
Or I can maybe mount one from the ceiling so it points right at something like that.
The one thing we could, I don't know that we've ever had one here, but the school board, upon occasion, we have to have what's called executive sessions.
Yeah.
If we're talking about pending or threatened litigation,
Yeah.
and you can eliminate the broadcast for that. But
As a courtesy to us, if you plan on doing something like that, let us know before the meeting starts. It would definitely help us because the school board a couple of times has had executive session to give us no warning, and it takes us just a minute to get our.
we didn't know either, but sometimes they ask for it and we don't know
Yeah,
either.
so
Cut the feed off and start.
yeah, it'll take
And the
us just a
microphone.
minute to and grab it and get it out. So, any other questions, concerns, or complaints, or anything like that? Otherwise, I'll let you get on with your meeting. Most of you have my number. Call me if you need anything. But we'll be here in March.
Thanks, sir.
Oh, any old business, new business? Any old business? Motion adjourned.
I make a motion with adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
What you got?
Oh, a bunch of junk. See, that's about building stuff.
That's what I think every time I see it.
Yeah, that's what you sent me the other day.
Oh, yeah, that's just saying we ain't gonna get paid for that.
Huh?
That's just saying they ain't gonna fix the light down here on the insurance.
Oh, the insurance.
Insurance.
Denied.
Hey, y'all, wait just a minute. I got something here that I forgot.